Sunday night, it's 8 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. With me, as always, I have Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. Shawn, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Gary.
Excellent. And I have Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
You went a plus. Shawn got the golden sombrero this year.
I should probably just wear the bag over my head now. Hey?
The golden sombrero is Shawn's.
Yeah.
And Holfer. I was in the running with him, and if not for a save by Doug Jamieson, I'd have been wearing that one. So, if you were, betting your mortgage on our pick'ems this week, we're sorry.
Yeah.
We're sorry. I'm thinking about starting a GoFundMe page because of my gambling that went down south this week. So if you have some extra nickels or dimes or quarters, hey, come on up. I'm happy to oblige. Anyways, we got a big show for you tonight. We had 5 games in the NLL. We have 5 games in the ALL. We also had the PLL championship finish, as well as trade deadline is tomorrow. So we got a number of things to chat about and scenarios to try and go through. But just before we get rolling, as always, just a reminder to everybody that all of our shows are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, also Twitch, and you can catch us the next morning on Spotify. Remember, hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons. Always share. Please enjoy our affiliates across the Streampunk Entertainment Network. If you missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the shows on YouTube, whether it be at Streampunk Cinema, Streampunk Combat, CFL shows, soccer shows, even Streampunk Pennsylvania Sports as well. You can also catch All Lacrosse all the time. When you're there, please subscribe. Please tell everybody about us. You can catch retro games, interviews, library of shows, fights, all kinds of things there, and more coming all the time. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting Streampunk Entertainment, streampunkent.com, with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. Also, a reminder that our show is brought to you by 60, which is Canada's newest and most exciting sports uniform and teamwear brand, delivering top quality uniforms and teamwear that reflects the spirit and identity of each team. Their commitment to innovation and excellence sets them apart, ensuring that every customer experiences the perfect blend of style and functionality. Unleash your greatness with 60. Remember to add Lax Talk 10 onto every single one of your orders to get a 10% discount on your order. How do you get there? 1, you can go to the QR code right in the center of your screen. 2, you can go over to Instagram at sweet_60. Go and email them at info.sweet60@gmail.com, or go directly to their website at www.sweet60.ca/60. Alrighty, a few things of note. Coming up at the end of May, Lacrosse Day for our champions over in Peterborough, over at the Peterborough Memorial Center. 9 a.m. you get members of Peterborough Lacrosse. 4:30 you have the Legends of Lacrosse game. At 7 o'clock, what you do not want to miss, and if you can't make it anything else, circle this place and time. Over at Sticks, which is a bar just across the street from the Memorial Center, you will have Stories by the Legends. This is free to everything, and if you want to have donations and food share, anything is graciously accepted. Also, with March break coming up just around the corner, you can have a quick look and Oshawa Firewolves Training Camp, Training Academy, Spring Break Camp, hosted by Ty Kurtz. If you need it, please get in touch with the Oshawa Firewolves, and they will give you all of the details. And the location, of course, is the Yard. $195 a player. I had mentioned that today was the championship game. It was championship games, women and men. And for the PLL, for the championship series, the women, the New York Charging, they beat the California Palms 18-11 and under our year champions. The Carolina Chaos had a great tournament. They beat the California Redwoods 24-16 in sixes competition. getting that much closer to Olympics and that much closer to refining what the sixes competition is going to be. Because remember, we need to put our best foot forward come Olympic day one, so that the world gets to see the best we can put forward for them. So they are making sure all the camera angles are right, making sure all the little nuances are taken care of, ironing out any of the rule problems or any of the other things that might crop up in a game that will make us look not so great with delays and questions and things like that. So we'll have all of that taken care of in the next 2 years. Coming closer, guys. Coming closer. A few little things in MSL. Six Nations back at it again. They made a trade with Brooklyn for Matt Hosick, and they gave up quite a bit for him. They gave up a second round pick in 2027. They gave up a second round pick in 2028 and a third round pick in 2029, plus future financial considerations. But they didn't stop there. They also traded with Oakville for Andrew Q. And in return, Oakville receives a first round pick in 2029, a first round pick in 2030, plus future considerations, which, if I do my math correctly, the next time Six Nations has a draft pick would be around 2074. Yeah. But they might four-peat.
Sell the farm for a championship.
That's what they're doing. Year in and year out, the All-Star team continues. So we'll see who's not coming back on the All-Star team, where these guys are going to fiddle in with it. Eduardo's with us from sunny St. Augustine, Florida. Eduardo, welcome. Good to have you with us. I love daylight savings time. You know, the sun just went down. It's past 8. I love this. I want to adapt what BC is doing and just say, that's it. We
Like
changed.
us?
No more change.
Like Saskatchewan for many, many years here. Never changed their clock.
I started thinking Saskatchewan changed their clock because he didn't know how to. But now I'm getting the reasoning.
Now you get it, yeah.
Now I understand. Smart. We're waiting for New York and Quebec because they always agree New York and Quebec. How do you go with thinking like that? But anyways, I think we should just leave it, to tell you the truth. I hate darkness at 5 o'clock in the evening. I really haven't seen a point on that one just yet. It is 98 degrees. Eduardo's just said he's cooking breakfast on the sidewalk. Feels like the surface of
Nice.
the sun. Well, Eduardo, I'll give you this. It's been minus 35 for a good chunk of February. It's been freaking cold here. I thought I was in Saskatchewan. And, 98 sounds like, pardon the pun, but Miami Beach to me.
Yeah, I'd almost take that right now, yeah.
Yeah, right now I take that myself. But, right now we're pretty comfortable. We're actually above zero, so I'm a happy guy. I took off 17 different layers to get here. So, the room here is not a meat locker right now. It's a comfortable room temperature at 21 degrees. So, it's not often I get to say that. But, hey, exchange program. I'll be on the next plane. I love the idea. Unfortunately, with diesel fuel at $2 a liter now, I can't afford to get on a plane. So if I start walking, it'll be winter again here. A couple of milestones. Challen Rogers on Friday night, he got his 300th career point. And Christian Del Bianco last week as second all-time in NLL goalie points with 108. That's amazing. There are many NLL players that don't have 100 points. And he's got 108. But, hey, I digress. Right. A couple of things quickly before we bring on and Pat. But we have the ALL, and they had 5 games this weekend. And they had the one makeup game for snow. Eduardo, you heard us talking about snow before, right? Yeah, we had enough that they had to cancel games. Anyways, a couple of shockers in this week's one was Friday night in Brampton, where Brampton and Six Nations got together. Brampton's been rolling all through the year. However, Six Nations beat Brampton Friday night 15-14 in overtime. Brampton got a great start. Six Nations had a great middle. Brampton had a great end. And with a minute and change left, Curtis Ward tied the game up, sent it to overtime. But in overtime, just a minute and a bit in, it was taken by Six Nations. We move over to Saturday. The poor Paris River Wolves, Woosum this year, they faced the strengthening Peterborough Timbermen, who have gotten John St. John on the program and are rolling. And they beat the Paris River Wolves 23-11. I believe this was close all the way until the national anthem, and then it changed. I think in the anthem is already 2-0. A couple of other strange scores here. The Oshawa Outlaws faced the Toronto Monarchs over a track Saturday afternoon, and the Outlaws beat the Toronto Monarchs 12-8. That is the Monarchs' fourth loss in a row. This is unheard of because the Monarchs have been just an absolute juggernaut the last couple of years. They were looking really good, and then things just went south the last month. And one more for the loss column, which is odd. They've got one more week left in regular season to right the ship before playoffs start. The Whitby Steelhawks, who have just been absolutely white hot, faced the Oswego Bears this afternoon. And, the Oswego Bears, who have also been hot since coming off their 4-game losing streak, I believe this is their 5th win in a row now. They beat the Steelhawks 12-10 this afternoon. So nothing is the way it's supposed to be this week, guys. And we'll prove that in the NLL game very, very shortly. Wow. Are you sitting down, Shawn?
Yep.
That's great.
Firmly planted.
Because we were looking at this game at like 5-4, right? In the fourth. Six
I see
Nations
the final now.
15-6. So Brampton not only took one loss, they took 2 losses, and this one was a doozy. 15-6 by the Six Nations Snipers over the Brampton Express. Luckily we're at this point of the season, earlier in the season, in the power rankings, we go completely upside down. Whitby is still in first. Brampton is still in second, but not by a lot. Peterborough has moved their way into third. Oswego has moved into fourth. Six Nations has jumped up a couple of spots into fifth. Toronto has jumped down 3 spots into sixth. Oshawa is seventh, and Paris is sitting in eighth in our power rankings for the ALL. Wow, there's some shockers in the ALL this week. But, man, I can't get over that one. Yeah, Brampton missing 11 starters. That would do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they put in the Brampton Pee Wee team in replacement of it. Wow. That's just, let's hope that it's just a travel issue too. So I assume everything will go back to normal next week. We have one more week ahead of us in regular season action. Remember, 6 out of the 8 teams make it. 2 of them stay home. So next week we have on Saturday the Toronto Monarchs and the Whitby Steelhawks facing off at 1 o'clock against each other. We have the Peterborough Timbermen against the Oshawa Outlaws at night. The Sunday games, Six Nation faces Paris. And the game that now becomes very interesting to me is Brampton and Oswego face one another. And I have a feeling that these two will face each other some point in the playoffs. So I'm thinking that this is going to be a all hands on deck kind of game. And they are both at the ILA also. So let's see if they can get the squad out there for it. All righty. Without further ado, I want to bring on my guest, our friend. I was on his show this morning and had a great time talking with him. And here's the one, the only, the Gobbler. Matt Bernard is with us. Matt, good to see you, buddy. More props. Yep. It's coming. It's coming. Stay with us, folks. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, okay. But I look at it this way. Nick Damoud had a rough go of it to start, 5 goals and 7 shots. In comes the future, and Deacon not only steadied the ship, but led the ship. And in that time, from the moment he got in, all of a sudden, magically, the defense got better. The offense got stronger. They had a transition game that we talked about this morning that I haven't seen in weeks. And all of a sudden, they started looking better. So there are half full, not half empty in my eyes, though they didn't come out on top. They even showed a little bit of life. Brendan O'Neill gets knocked over, and here comes Armstrong. So a little bit of life. Oh. Steak was good though this afternoon.
I bet it was.
I had a rock steak myself, so.
Listen, I bet it was nice and juicy and delicious. You know, I'm chewing on wings. I'm spitting them out as I eat them, and you know, it's unsatisfactory anymore with this team. It's just when I thought, you know, all right, maybe we could get a glimpse. You know, we only have one win at home in this entire season. Only one win at home, and that was the opening day. And I was excited to see, you know, these are two bad teams, but I expected a back and forth again, especially with these two, especially with the rivalry behind both franchises. And again, Justin,
he's having a rough time, guys. This is getting into him physically.
Just in when I thought they were going to pull this out. Boy, they just never seem to amaze me when they get to steer the ship wrong. And how do you let a night like Brandon O'Neill had 5 goals just slip at your hands? A night where Joe Terrence gives you 7 assists. 7 assists. This guy is bowling out for you. You know, you got Dalton Young again, put up another hat trick and just let it go to the wayside. How does I get it, Alex Simons? I mean, another facilitator monster, you know, from the Firewolves. But how do you let it fall away again and again and again? It's rough night.
Again, I'd like to look at this as half full because as we're talking about this morning, and if Resetarits is the one who's going to be tradable, by his production today, you now can garner a little bit more for him because he's shown he can do it still. Damoud, on the other hand, didn't have a great day, but you can take his season numbers and look what he's done, and you can garner something for him, and you know that it's in safe spot because Deacon can handle the job.
And to your point too, Gary, like you and I talked about this morning, was, you know, Joe Resetarits showing buyers that he still has a game. Is Nick Damoud's mind, you know, was he there physically, or was he thinking about, you know, potentially future where he could wind up? There was a lot going on through these guys, and they know this is an unsafe territory right now at this particular junction.
And also Phil Caputo, right? I actually saw him on the floor today, and he almost had that tying goal. Mm-hmm. You know, the play was drawn up. They actually put it together. But a save from Doug Jamieson saved that from going to overtime.
Right, and again, this is a team that it's you know, nothing's, you know, no one's safe from being traded. This is no one's unsafe right now. Maybe other than Brandon O'Neill, Michael Sowers, but everyone's on the market as far as can be shipped and be dealt as far as, you know, within the next 17 hours or so. So. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I mean, for this game in particular, you got to see some shining pieces. But again, like you mentioned, that the Phil Caputo's kind of showing you he can still grind it out. He's kind of showing he's still aggressive down low. He could do some things for a franchise, or unless Paul David just wants to try and keep him here and try to help build around the young guys. I don't know.
Again, I don't see him with a role. There's no role there for him.
No.
Just like Reardon, there's no role there for him. So I don't see the purpose. If they can unload, I would unload. Mike, I want to bring you in on this conversation because Isaiah Davis Allen, is there a purpose to keep him around anymore since Bo Columbus is looking pretty spiffy over at the faceoffs?
Well, I mean, that's a double-edged sword because it's, to have just one guy who's proficient in faceoffs on the team, not that other guys can't do it. I mean, I think we've seen Chris Corbeil, with the dot before. So
right, but I'm on the fence on whether he's going to be on the move also, because you can garner veteran leadership and a journeyman who has been in the championship games, as well as captain, as something that you might be able to get some future back with. And with the drafts the way they are now, you're offering me anything more than a can of corn, and I'm listening.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. If I think if we're digging deep to figure out who Paul Day, Ian Rubel might trade, I mean, I think a couple of factors put Resetarits at the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
One, the fact that, he got a little bit of a scoring touch back. The other factor, I think, is Dalton Young coming in and playing the way he's played in the games that he's played. He has familiarity, obviously, playing with Brennan O'Neill out in the field game. They're both on the Outlaws. I think it makes sense if at this point, 10 losses. I'm thinking it's not likely any 8-10 team is getting into the playoffs. So even if they win out, I don't think they're making the postseason.
Let me put this to the
Rex.
Do we trade Scott Dominey? Now he's been back, and it's been a lot of not much. Does he need to change the scenery? Because I like Brian Wagner's game, to tell you the truth. I thought he showed a lot of moxie today, going up and down the floor, and I think that he can handle this role. While Dominey is still worth something, do we try and move him around?
I mean, it's a possibility. I
think that would go in as a package. If you're going to take, maybe if I'm sending you Corbeil and Dominey, send you two transition guys for something of the future. That would be more of a stated thing. I don't think any individual of that will go. Resetarits on his own can garner quite a bit. Damoud can garner quite a bit, but I think this would have to be a little bit of a package.
I think that. I'll hang on, Pat. Just one second. I'll give you that. My question is, where are they headed, and what are you getting in return?
Well, like I say, I look at the draft, and I think if I'm getting picks, if I can get a second round and a fourth round, I would be happy, because I can garner something pretty good with that second round, and I may actually be able to get something with that fourth round pick. If I can get a third round, I'd be elated for it. But I'm looking at really nothing in return now. I'd be going into my practice squad for the last couple of games of the season.
I mean, that's an interesting take. I mean, I think you need to get more than that for Resetarits. I can
not
Resetarits. Resetarits, you got to have at least a first rounder,
first round pick, and maybe a third to go with it.
And I got to think, if you're shopping him, I mean, I'm trying to think about who you're going to get phone calls from. I'd say Calgary.
I'm thinking Buffalo, honestly.
Buffalo. Halifax might come calling. Now, I know when Rochester moved to Halifax, he didn't want to go with the team, and that's how he ended up in New England. But, maybe circumstances are different now.
I'm just thinking if he's going to end his career, he's going to end it close to home. So, same reason why I don't see a Rubish.
But he's also in a contract year, so this is not much different than Nick Rose,
right?
Last year,
right.
This is a rental and a guy who can walk.
It's a good idea.
Could a Rochester
Still-
What,
still-
possibly
what
be
Philadelphia needs, though, is
Could
defense. They are
Rochester.
so hurt on defense. That they need
Mhm.
defense, and it shows because their defense is invisible. I feel
Ah.
sorry for anybody stepping in net because there's 2 or 3 guys who really should be buying tickets right now.
That's the problem though with this team. I mean, Gary just nailed it. I mean, like for the years I've been covering, there's one major, and I mean, Sean's brought up is the defense that's in front. And again, we talked about game one. It was the defense shocked you because they were physical. That was their identity. Smash mouth. You come into their zone, they're going to punch you in the mouth. Now they've kind of eased up on that. They kind of softened up on that. I don't know, if they got a warning like, hey, guys, you're being a little too rough with people. I don't know what it is, but they definitely stepped, a major step back from not being, a smash. And that's what Ian Rubel said he wanted, though. He wanted to be identified for, the identity to be, a smash mouth college defense. And now we're not even getting that. So, and this is a game, going back tonight, this was a game. When was the last time you saw the Wings put up double digits? It's been quite some time. So tonight was a really case for those guys to ball out. My question, though, going back to the draft, how much say does the players have? Like, in the NBA, a lot of players can persuade a coach or GM to bring a guy in. Do you think Ben McIntosh can go say to the Seals, like, let's lock up that 8th seed and bring in Joe Russell-Terrence? Joe Russell-Terrence and Ben McIntosh have kind of a good tag team, partner and kind of a deal where they can, make a splash there.
Yeah, that's a good point. San Diego could be a suitor.
I like what he did there too. Make a splash with the Seals. I like that.
I wasn't even thinking about it.
I like that. Yeah. But yeah, it has been known where players have kind of gone to management going, he would be a great fit. Because we're in that kind of thing where a lot of the GMs are former players.
Correct.
And have a lot of, insight with their, former colleagues, now underlings. So it's not been unheard of that a player or two can entice someone to come as a free agent, or can go to management and say, let's look at getting him here and see if it's available. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities. No, not at all.
Because I could see, Ben McIntosh knocking on the GM's door in San Diego and say, listen, like you kind of mentioned from the top of the hour of, listen, there's not a role really for Blaze Reardon. There's not a role, Joe Russell-Terrence has one more shot of rolling out to the sunset. Let's try and make it happen here. I know these guys. I know what they're capable of. I know the ins and outs. We have great chemistry out there in Philly. We can take that. We can lock up that 8th seed. And, once you get into the playoffs, all bets are off. So let's try and make a deep run if we can.
My thing also is, when's the last time you've seen the Wings with that kind of life? That they're down by 5 after 1 and fight.
Yeah, actually showed no quit this time.
No, and
Yeah,
their result,
halftime,
they were strong, and they took control of that game.
And it's usually the other way around. They usually put their foot on the gas pedal first and then take it off. They were hitting the brakes and they couldn't find the gas pedal, but once they did, they came to battle today, and I got to give this team credit. Again, this is a first time in a long time I've seen them put up double-digit goals, and that's one thing Ian Rule approached about since game one. You got to put up double digits. You got to put up double digits to win this league. So, and that's what they're trying to do today. Unfortunately, they just couldn't have it. They didn't have enough time to seal the deal.
Well, I'd like to bring up a little bit of not so great news, and that's of course this. Since we're all here,
I'm afraid to look.
Great.
The tuba.
Wow, that's a trombone, eh? Wow.
1-4.
Wow. And you're lucky to have the
Hey, you
one.
didn't know 0-5.
If you would have taken your home team, you would have been 0-5 with Shawn.
Woo! Good
Yeah.
Lord.
One of those losses I was very happy to take. And that, of course, was the Rock win over Vancouver. But, wow. So basically what we're telling you is take a look at our picks, go against what we're saying and you can make a lot of money. My
Experts.
goodness.
Experts.
Yeah. I don't know where that word come in. I can't even spell that word. Expert. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
You,
I'm
you
definitely.
can garner. Mind you, I think Shawn's got it down because I think it's just as difficult to go 0-5 as it is to go 5-0.
And yet I'm 0-5 and I'm still in first place.
Unreal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It didn't help that the rest of us went just one
Yeah.
above, right? But
You know what's a
Caden
bad week
actually-
to win?
Caden went ahead of me. So as I'm trying to take over last place from Mike, which I'm only one away from achieving my goal, you know, I'm in a new echelon, man. Usually I'm sitting in the attic and I'm over here down near the basement, and wow, hard down here, I'm telling you. But the good thing and the thing to be proud of for all of us is that all of us are mightily over the 500 mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've had a year where every one of us has been over the 500 mark by the end of the season. Now, granted, there's still 6 more weeks for us to fall on our face.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Plus playoffs.
But I'm starting to get a lot of scrapes on my chin already from a couple of really miserable weeks. So, but you know, it could be worse.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope we don't do this 2 in a row.
Yeah, so I just jumping back to this game, you know, while Pat's here, a little bit of focus on Oshawa. You know, I think one of the things that really helped them to win this game is, again, we saw kind of the capabilities of the entirety of the offense. You know, you got scoring from just about every forward that played.
Right.
You know, Ty Kurtz, 4 goals and an assist. Simmons had a goal and 7 assists. You know, Dawson Theed, 2 goals and 4 assists, and we'll get into him in a minute because they absolutely, I am absolutely against them trading Dawson Theed at this point. I think he's done wonders to ignite their offense, and I don't see the point in, you know, why'd you trade for him in the first place if you're just going to get rid of him 5 weeks
Right.
later?
Especially when you gave up a first-round pick for him.
Exactly, but you know, they got a hat trick and 2 assists out of Dyson Williams. They got a goal and 2 assists each out of Taggart Clark and Ethan Walker. Another guy who's being rumored to be on the trade block. I say hold on to him. I think you need to give this offense a chance to kind of really start to come together with you know, more than just a couple of games reps.
Well, the one I scratched my head on, and when I heard this rumor, was Ethan Walker, and he is the heart and soul of their offense, and it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Them on the block.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
they
I think you've kind of completed, you know, your offense for the next, I would say, 4 or 5 years potentially. Yeah. You can keep these guys together for
a lot of this
4 or
chatter,
5 years easily.
I do think a lot of this chatter has changed with their performance last week, even though they gave up the lead with 4 minutes left and lost in overtime, and this week. And from what I saw 4 weeks ago, before their bye week, in which everything went wrong, and that everything was on the table. What I've seen in the last 2 games is going back to Clarkie's systems, going back to the basics, and actually having a leader's lead and having the role players do their roles and everything else that goes with it. Jameson's looking more invigorated in net as well, which doesn't hurt. And, you know, they look like they are having fun again, because it certainly didn't look it when I left the press conference 4 weeks ago after they just absolutely got it handed to them. And this changes, I think, a lot of the theory behind buyers, sellers. They would normally be sellers. Hey, Brian, thank you for joining. They would normally be sellers for where they are. But when we've taken a look and seen that there's only 2 contracts that have to be renewed, that they are a youth motivated team, mostly youth with a little bit of veteran. If anything, they could get a little bit more veteran, but that's where Dawson Theed came in. Emerson, Clark, whatever. Keep them, don't keep them. It really, to me, is a non-entity. You have the Muffler with Deed. You also have scoring with Deed.
Yep.
If there is a move to be made, there is a spot in my eyes there. But pretty much the rest of it, the defense is pretty locked in. Goaltending is locked in between Jameson and Kidd. And then when you take a look at the offense, it's stacked. And when they're rolling, they're as good as any offense in the league and can put up points as quickly as anybody in the league.
So if you're Glenn Clark, do you still entertain any phone calls about Kyle?
I entertain it because I want to know what's out there, but it's going to have to be something that absolutely sways me right off my chair before I even go to step 2 of this phone call. Because unless it's going to give me something that I absolutely just said, you know what, we just hit the lottery. There's no reason for me to get rid of a first-round pick playing to try my luck with a first-round pick that I'm going to choose. I just need to get everybody on the same page. Now, we've been talking about this for 3 years. Is finally the power play is coming along. It's taken 3 years before we've seen Ofer. Now it's being comparable to a lot of the other ones. Is it the greatest? No. Will it be the greatest? Probably not. But will it get you those a couple of points that puts you over? Because how many games did they lose by 1 that if they had a couple of power play goals are winners? Now they're starting to get that. Now we're starting to see some of those much closer games and wins. And again, we've always talked about this. I know I've said it on the other show as well. Character. I was talking about it with Deacon Knott on Thursday. Character. You have to learn to lose before you can learn to win. You don't know how great winning is until you see how bad losing is and get those feelings. But you got to build character. And all of these things are character builder. If it doesn't kill you, it builds character. So I don't think Clarkie's job is in jeopardy. The players talk glowingly of him. So nobody has quit. The room hasn't quit. Just like in Philadelphia, nobody's quit on Rubel. If anything, the camaraderie is even stronger in there. So that's the first sign I think that we have problems above, is when the teams don't really care and management isn't doing anything to try and fix this. Those are just that don't have that problem.
And that's when you're out of a job, is when you lost the locker room. Like
Right.
Once you lose the locker room, you might as well just hand over your all your credentials, all that, because you're out. Because once you lose that, you're gone. And that's like you said, though. Like I noticed here in Philly, I mean, this team wants to play for Ian. This team wants it. They like his message. Like I said, this was probably not on their bingo card for all this to go wrong this year. They were probably looking to turn this around. Again, Paul Day, to me, looked like he took a gamble on moving on from Mitch Jones, which I absolutely like, and want to gamble with the young upcoming of Michael Sowers, Brian O'Neill, to kind of move this ship forward. It hasn't panned out. Now I think what they Paul Day is going to just kind of do is just make a hole for tomorrow, get tons of in return, and just really nail down that defense side of the ball. I mean, I like David.
Free agency didn't work. Now they're going to have to draft it.
Yeah, and then
So
just
it's going
kind
to be
of
a build. It's going to be a couple of year build. But if they do it right and they do it through the draft, get as many picks as they can for the players they're going to get rid of, then they can build it through the draft, and then these guys all come up together, and there's the camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the fan base can also build with them, because they're going to grow in with them.
What about, not to try to shift gears here either, but what about like a team kind of is right in the hunt? Maybe you try and punch their ticket into the playoffs. Maybe like the Desert Dogs today. You guys think they're going to be buyers too? They're going to.
I would.
And I think, I think that the Desert Dogs are looking for the same thing Philadelphia's looking for.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of have my caption there for them to stay put. My concern about them kind of actively looking around is just the fact that they've made so many moves in the off season and even in season here with, Chase Fraser went down. They went and signed Tyson Gibson and Kevin Crowley. So, so far, I think, that dividend's paying off for Crowley at least. He had 3 assists this weekend in the loss to Halifax. And I should also note, very underrated at going back on defense as a forward. Always has been. He's always been excellent. I saw it firsthand in New England for 4 years that, when defense was needed against reverse transition, he was there. And, maybe not the level of Lyle Thompson, but not too far removed from it.
Yeah. I guess the only devil
and that's something that I think the Desert Dogs can use to help that defense.
I was going to say maybe playing a little devil's advocate. I mean, if there's any team that's maybe, I emphasize that word, maybe looking for a goaltender, it's probably Las Vegas. So if you're going to, dish out to Mood, maybe that's maybe a destination.
To Mood, yeah.
I think Toronto is one to unload now too. Now that Rose is back, do you unload Holochuk or do you unload Orleman? Because you can't keep 2 of them there.
I don't know. Ask Halifax about that, because they've been sitting all year with 3 goalies pretty much on their roster.
Right.
Buffalo's at 4.
Well, Buffalo at 4. Now one of them is over in Toronto.
Yeah.
But I got to admit, Nick Rose looked good.
He did. I mean,
was he tested? No.
Just going back to trade targets for goalies. I mean, I'll agree obviously with Shawn on Demood. I don't think Oshawa is going to shop Doug Jamieson at this point. I mean, before this week,
does Toronto shop Nick Rose for a first-round pick?
I don't know. Is anyone really going to want to take that deal after they already saw Rose walk once from Calgary last year?
But this time he's not an unrestricted free agent. It's on a 2-year deal.
Oh, I suppose that changes things.
Now, how about Las Vegas with Nick Rose?
I mean, I guess my only concern there is, it's not like Kells played poorly against Halifax.
Yeah, that's why I kind of use the emphasize maybe on the goaltender.
Yeah, I mean, you've invested a lot in him, and you've kind of decided he's your guy. You stuck with him for this long.
If I go into summer, Kells was replaced by Rose in Peterborough, and Kells replaced Rose in Oakville. But that was Peterborough's answer for their goaltending situation. Just a thought. We're looking at the backups.
Yeah,
I'm thinking maybe Holochuk looked pretty good over his time in. He went 4-2 when Nick Rose was down. So maybe it's time to look to the future. They've looked to the future with every other position. Maybe it's finally they're looking to the future in this one. And when you take a look what you can garner for Orleman, what you can garner for Holochuk, or what you can garner for Rose, I'm going to bet you're going to get a lot more grab for Rose than the other 2. And there's a spot needs to go. We're not Buffalo. We don't keep 4 goalies on our roster.
All right, fellas. I'll catch up with you guys.
Pat, great to have you, man. Great to see you this morning also. Congratulations on a good show. Until next week, sir. Is that last post in reference?
Trumpeting his departure.
Yeah.
I figure, that a Remembrance Day just hit again. So Veterans Day for you in the U.S. Sorry. But yeah, that's where I see that one. But anyways, let's continue along with the games from this week, and then we'll talk a little bit more as we go along. The shocker of the week, of course, was Toronto going into Vancouver, and Man, I didn't see this one on my bingo card. I really didn't. And when they told me that Nick Rose was going in and Dan Craig was coming back in the lineup and Isaiah Moran Weeks was going out and Phil Mazuka was on the IR, and I'm thinking this is going to be a long night. And lo and behold, the CJ Kirsch show began. And it only took a minute and a half for it to begin. And he was on his game. He, I guess he hadn't visited the West Coast, but he certainly made a name for himself there, scoring off an Owen Hiltz pass a minute and a half into the game. Jesse King tied it with another, of course, beautiful inside shot. Jalen Rogers, this goal was just wild. I would have never thought he was going to shoot it, but from a screenshot about 20 feet outside of the net, he picked off the top short side corner and caught Del Bianco by surprise as well. And it was 2-1 Rock. Chris Boucher doesn't score ordinary goals no matter what. And this is no exception. And it was 3-1. Before you knew it, it was 4-1. And Rogers, again, off an Owen Hills pass. Now, here's where the trade from a couple of weeks ago paid off. Nick Rowlett wins a face-off, goes coast to coast, and scores. His first NLL goal as a Rock. And it's 5-1. And it's very, very quiet over in Vancouver. In fact, I believe they sat Del Bianco down for a little bit just to take a bit of a break. Clarich, he got one back, was 5-2. CJ Kirsch comes in and gets another one. So it is 6-2 after one. Owen Grant gets one quickly off a Del Bianco pass, so he's back in. I think it was in the next one after the 3 that they sat him. But Kirst, Rogers, English, and Kirst again in the span of 4 minutes. And it was 10-3 with 4 minutes to go. That's when they pulled him and put Connor O'Toole in net just to kind of cool him down a little bit. Third quarter starts, Del Bianco's back in net. Jesse King scores just an absolutely incredible inside goal. Curtis Dixon with an absolute howitzer. And then Marcus Clarich with a couple of goals. One that they originally called a no goal, but on review, you can see there was a bit of green between his foot and the crease. The second one was just an absolute gorgeous behind the back goal. And it's 10-7. And it looks like Vancouver's coming back into this game. Once again, Toronto puts together about a 1:05 flurry. And in that 1:05, Kirst, Hugh Kelleher, and Mark Matthews score. And it is 13-7 after 3. And it looks like they extinguished the momentum that Vancouver had. Toronto goes into defensive mode. Vancouver goes into offensive mode. Keegan Ball scores almost 5 minutes into the fourth. Marcus Clarich scores a pair about a minute apart, which is his fourth and fifth of the night. With 7 minutes and change left, Toronto is able to lock it down. And between Nick Rose looking decent in net and the Rock defense looking like they did at the beginning of the game, they're able to hold down this game, which, by the way, had no penalties. There was one too many men penalty inside 2 minutes. Jalen Rogers took and missed a penalty shot, but there were no penalties in this game. None. Interesting. Cropman crew, right? Interesting. Face-offs. They were tied 14-14 between Adler and Rowlett. My new face-off guy has arrived in Toronto. Now, does Erlin come back? Do they trade Erlin? Do they trade Rowlett? Do they keep them both? Mike, what do you think?
It's a difficult one. Because the injury-prone guy in Erlin, if you will, at least can also play some defense. Whereas Rowlett is still kind of in Fogo territory.
Yep. Yep. But learning. But we'll see. Shots on goal, 50-47 in favor of Toronto. Toronto out loose balled the Vancouver Warriors by a lot. It was something about 40 different. Like Toronto was just vacuum cleaners with loose balls. I haven't seen numbers like that in quite some time. Just pulling it up. 20, 83-63.
Wow.
They were absolute vacuum cleaners when it came to loose balls. This is the most energy I've seen the Rock have with this new lineup. Now, granted, things weren't as rosy in the second half as the first half, where they could basically do anything they wanted. And that made me kind of wonder about Vancouver. If Toronto's been able to run around in circles, I'll give kudos to the Rock defense, though. They had a scheme, and they stuck with it. And for about a quarter and a half, they went away from it a little bit. But for the majority of that game, they were locked tight and not missing many assignments. And even so much as even when they looked like they were going to get beat, Owen Hiltz, showing off his speed, came from behind, knocking the ball out of the stick of a Vancouver Warrior who would look to go away on a breakaway. Now, the risk you take, of course, is if you miss, it's a penalty shot. But he didn't miss. And I look at it this way. Like I said in my pick'ems, they're on the cusp of doing something great. I think they took another giant step forward this week. Next week, they have Halifax in Halifax. That's going to be a difficult one also. But we'll see what happens. I don't think that they do anything, honestly, at the trade deadline, though what we're talking about with the goaltending is really the only thing that stands out to me. I don't think they can do anything with defense. They have too many injuries. I don't think they want to do anything with offense, and they have more coming. But as long as Calgary keeps losing, I'd love to see Joey Spallina in this lineup. I need to look forward to something. But, yeah. I agree. I think he's more interested in playing PLL anyways. And just like Joe Nardella, I guess they're both resting and healing so they can have a good PLL season. But we'll see. We'll see. Don't know what to do with the Erlen jersey. It's sitting there. Anyways, luckily it's in the black and gold colors, so we don't worry too much about it. Anyways, let's move on. We had a busy day on Saturday with a couple of games. It's a weird week this week, eh? 2 Sunday games really changed everything.
Yeah.
Eh? But Halifax and Las Vegas. And this one was interesting because I didn't have it on my bingo card. But then again, if you look at my pick'ems, I didn't have much on my bingo card.
No, I didn't either. To start, it looked like, Vegas was going to be on their way to a big victory and step closer to getting back into the playoff picture. They got out to a 5-1 lead, middle of the second, but Halifax clawed their way back in, 3-goal run at the end of the half, including first career goal for Austin Bloomberg's. Stephen Keogh beating the buzzer for his 250th career goal. They trailed 6-5 at the half, came out and outscored the Desert Dogs 3-1 in the third to take an 8-7 lead into the fourth. And things definitely got interesting from there. Kyle Killen ties the game. Halifax gets a couple of goals to take a lead. Chris Cloutier has a pair of power play goals to help claw back in. But Jason Knox with the goal down low and Stephen Keogh with the pair of back-to-backs They end up winning 13-11. The Thunderbirds. It's only their second home win this season,
Right.
but improves them to 5-7. Drops Vegas to 4-7. Again, Halifax with that, they'll be hosting Toronto next week, like you said. So that's going to be a key game for them.
I like that Halifax played Will McLeod. I think that's a smart move. I love his game, and he's great with Brooklyn in the summer, and he has a game that is suited for what they do over in Halifax. And I can't understand for the life of me why he hasn't been used more. But they used him in this game, and it paid dividends.
Yeah. I mean, I'd agree. I mean, obviously, Halifax is kind of dealing with the injury bug. No Randy Stotts in this game, but it definitely shows to some extent in the shots on goal. But Clark Peterson kind of took all of Stotts' shots, apparently. 16 for the game, but
riddle me this, Mike. We've been seeing lots of Stotts shots and not lots of Stotts goals. Like 1 goal and 14 shots. You're talking about Peterson, 7 shots, 3 goals. He's making the most of it too. So it's not things whizzing all over the place, or bad selections late in the clock just to get a shot. So maybe this is an answer.
Right, and I think the other answer too is goals in transition. They got a goal from Ryan Terafenko. They got a goal from Duncan Thompson. The goal from Ethan O'Connor. That was kind of the go ahead. And Bloomberg's was playing forward, but he's been playing on the back end when he has played for the majority of the season. So that'll be interesting to see whether he earned himself maybe another start in the lineup. But again, that's going to depend on, hey, are they calling up Philly about Joe Resetarits, or are they calling up Calgary about Tyler Pace?
I think Tyler Pace would fit in this lineup better than Resetarits. Resetarits, to me, you already have Randy Stotts doing that. But what do I know? 1-4. But yeah, that's what I see there. But what I'm seeing is they're starting to use some of the people that they've picked before, like the Austin Bloombergs and Will McLeod. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I know
Oshawa was going to use Dante Koulas, but he busted up his hand in another game somewhere else, and it's going to put a wrench into that situation too.
Right. I mean, with Halifax on the cusp, I think I don't have them listed as staying put. I think they need a righty. That's why I'm kind of thinking, about Resetarits, or Pace. Like you said, Pace is a good.
It's a better fit, I think.
So, and let's not forget that they have the picks too to offer.
Right.
So, they have Toronto. They have Toronto's pick. They have a compensatory pick. They have their own pick. So.
Or they can run and Barrett and draft.
I mean, you could. You could.
You got 3 round picks already, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you already have 3 first rounders, that's. Well, I guess we talked about it off air. The possibility that that Graham Hossick, is up. I think had they lost this game, I'd be more inclined to believe that Graham Hossick's available. But Shawn obviously mentioned the floated that idea out there. What's that idea, Shawn?
That Graham goes to Saskatchewan. So he's with his brother Matt. I mean, you're going to give up a lot, but I mean, like I said, I honestly think Saskatchewan's going to stay put. To be quite frank, I think they are going to stay put. But I mean, there's that 1% chance. I mean,
Yeah, I can't think that happens.
Yeah, I don't think so.
There
Right?
is, I promptly built off that idea and said, okay, you trade the picks next year, some of the picks next year for Kostiuk, let's say a first rounder, a second rounder, and let's say that you throw in a player, whether it's, someone deeper on the defensive depth chart or someone who's holding out. Halifax prides themselves on their speed. I'm sure they'd love to have Andrew McAdory playing transition with Tarafenko. And others that would instantly make them the fastest team in the league on transition.
Right.
So how does Saskatchewan get those picks back? Well, how about Philadelphia look at the possibility of following the Carolina Chaos blueprint, where they had a bunch of Buffalo Bandits and they get themselves more Denver Outlaws by trading some picks back to Sask for Josh Zawada. And now you have Josh Zawada and Dalton Young and Brendan O'Neill, who are all together on the Outlaws on your offensive unit.
Yeah, I don't know whether Saskatchewan would want to give up Zawada.
I don't think they would either.
The one player I could see this team possibly wanting that would be on the chopping block for Saskatchewan is Clark Walter. He hasn't been playing much. He'd probably be a starter on any other team, but you're looking at a lefty now. So
I don't think that Saskatchewan is going to do a thing to upset the Outlaws.
I don't think they're going to do a thing either, to be quite honest. I
don't think so either. I mean, I think if you do trade Zawada, then Walter gets a chance to play, and you go with 4 lefties every night. You give yourself a chance to play Anderson and Walter regularly.
Good point.
And then your right side is it's Church, Shanks, and Haley, who none of them are going anywhere.
Not a chance. All right, let's move on. We go to Sunday's games, and of course we have Rochester and Calgary. Now, with what I saw today, is Rochester selling, or is Rochester buying, or is Rochester staying put? Because man, they have not looked good since.
I don't have them in my caption as staying put, but
I like the makeup of the team, and they really do have a lot there. But boy, you want to talk about something going south in a hurry?
Yeah, I mean,
the last 4 games have been not bad. They've been atrocious, and one was a win.
They do, but I feel like either way could work out really well for them if they decide. Because if you're going to offer up, say, honestly, anyone on that offense, just about anyone on that offense is going to command a pretty decent haul.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like Rochester's the one team that, if they're involved in a trade, it's going to be a blockbuster type,
right?
Where you're going to see
that's how they got fields, right?
Big names move.
But man, you scored 7 goals on Calgary, who is notorious for giving up goals.
Yeah, I don't know. Aiden Walsh had a really good game.
Yeah.
He really looked a lot better than he has as of late. This was snapping a 6-game losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
So, no, I'm thinking Oshawa. Calgary was 1-6, I think, in their last 7. So,
and they also hit rock bottom midway through it also, right? Remember the Halifax game?
They did. I think you've got to...
Sorry, the Georgia game. Sorry, my mistake. That was the game in Edmonton.
Yeah. I have Calgary in my caption here as staying put. I think they need to. I think if anything, there's
I
obviously
like Calgary, and I think they're young, and I think they have a whole lot of growing to do. I'm more interested in Rochester because we have talked about it. We thought that they had the formula, and they look great. Not good. They look great at the beginning of the year. And ever since that Toronto game, ironically, when Nick Rose went down, and that second half where Toronto came back to beat them, this team hasn't looked the same. The Vancouver's distractions didn't help, but ever since then, they have not been the same team. And I don't know what exactly is different. The only one out is McCully. All their offensive stars are there.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. They are, if there's anything in their favor right now as we approach the trade deadline, I think this is a plus. They're one of two teams that still has 7 games to play after the trade deadline. The other one is Vegas. Everyone else has 6 or less, and there's like 5 or 6 teams that only have 5 games left.
Right.
To play. So
I will be at the Rochester Vegas game. I will be there.
To me, if you're looking at that, just in terms of should we try to make a deal before the trade deadline, I think that's something that's important to look at is, hey, how many games are we going to have working with whatever we're acquiring and, whatever we're giving up in return. So, I think that's a plus for them to have more games. Now, little caveat with that is the next 2 of those games are against Vegas, who also has 7 games left.
Right.
Yeah.
So home.
And like I say, I'll be at the home one. I'll be there on the 21st because I'll be there covering the Bats also in the afternoon. So we have a long day of lacrosse over the Blue Cross Arena.
Yeah. So to me, that home and home, both those games could be winnable. Both teams are kind of, head scratchers right now. So that's, 2 potentially winnable games. After that, they're at Oshawa. That's a potentially winnable game. They've generally had the Firewolves number the last few years. They have to travel to Halifax, and they have to travel to Buffalo. But, they've already beaten Buffalo once this year. I know it was at home, and I know Buffalo's a different team now. But then they close out with the home and home against Georgia. So, the next 5, I could see them potentially going 4-1, whether they make a deal or not.
Right.
And suddenly it's a lot different if you're 9-7 going into that last weekend or going into that home and home with Georgia.
Man, we touted that as being a thing maybe for first. Now it's for making playoffs.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, maybe only for Rochester.
Yeah.
Because Georgia's top
too,
4 right now.
That all depends also. The offense needs to wake up in Georgia too, right? It's shown signs of greatness, but it's also shown signs of complete stagnant.
Yeah.
Well, does it need to when your goalie's about to shatter the GAA record single season by over 2 goals?
Well, let's hope we can keep that way.
That was the thing. They've been losing like 6-5 games, right?
But looking at it from an offensive standpoint, 13 isn't the target number for Georgia.
Pray he doesn't get hurt too.
Now.
Yeah.
Like I say, pray he doesn't get hurt either, because we saw the Shanahan experiment early in the season in Buffalo, right?
Right.
So I don't think that's the answer.
One gaff. They technically killed that penalty.
They did.
Yeah.
They technically killed that 5.
Technically, he should never have been in the box to start with. However,
Yeah.
a minor snafu there, right?
So that was more like a 5-on-2, and they killed it. Just saying.
Well, looking at this though, it's interesting because we really haven't talked about. We talked briefly about San Diego, and do we think that they're going to be moving anybody? Corey Small comes up in conversation.
Yeah, Small. I mean, Robinson's also come up. I think that would be a mistake. I think
That would be a mistake.
Yeah, makes sense,
again, if you're going to offer up one of your lefty snipers, I think Small is going to be, you're going to be thinking about the future, and
yeah.
Small is getting close to the end here.
My question is, we know Buffalo's going to do something. We know it. They're in 7th place right now. They would face Colorado right now if we had playoffs as we speak. What does Buffalo try and do?
Oh.
They're going to do something. There's no way Chugger stands pat. And he put the thing out a couple of weeks ago. If we lost both games, I'm selling. They won both. He's buying.
No, he's not.
He's buying, yeah. He's got to be buying to try and stay in the playoffs, yeah.
He's going for the 4-peat now. Because remember, you just have to get into 8th. And then you can work your magic. And in a one and done, I don't care if Matt Vince is 87. I still put my money on him. Whatever I've left after this week. So, does he go look, since he's released, 3 transition.
If you look, what are you looking for?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, where do they need to improve?
I'm thinking a righty.
Righty forward?
Yeah.
So you're probably looking at Resiteritz or
I'm looking definitely at Resiteritz. That was my first inclination. But you know what? Tyler Pace wouldn't be a bad choice either. But I don't think he would fit as well. With Dane and Josh, I don't think it would fit as well. Resiteritz, I think, would fit in real nicely as a sniper. And he wouldn't have to do any of the facilitating because you got Josh and Dane doing that. Because remember, Buffalo, the one thing that they haven't recovered from is losing Kluche.
Hold that thought. Blaze Reardon.
That might work also.
Yeah.
But didn't they get rid of Triolo, who basically was doing the same thing? I like the Blaze Reardon thing because you'd have Nanacook on both sides. One a little more brash than the other.
I don't mind the Blaze. I don't mind the Blaze move.
And it's close to his home, right? He's a Rochester guy.
Yeah.
Now, the only potential snag with that is Philly already owns Buffalo's first-round pick next year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that you can't
But
ask.
the way Blaze's season is going, I don't think he's going to have an overly high price tag.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a first round pick.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I'm just saying, from Buffalo's standpoint, it's, hey, you already have our first-round pick next year. You're probably going to be looking at future draft picks.
It doesn't have to be 2026. It could be
Buffalo
it doesn't have to, but every single GM is going to be asking about a pick.
Buffalo's got 2 second rounders next year.
Right.
Though.
If you give a second rounder for 2026 and 2027, that may not be a bad option either.
Yeah, I mean that's
even Buffalo has 2. Buffalo has 2 second rounds and 2 third rounds next year too.
So that's something you might pull the trigger on.
Right, but like I say,
Yeah.
I just have a feeling that Chugger is going for broke for a 4-peat. Now that he knows that this team still has life in it that can win. Because I think he was looking also at, does it have it in it anymore? It's one thing to have the wins or whatever. But
Still has life in it, but also has probably the toughest schedule going away.
They're in the playoffs
And
now.
that's why
you have to make sure they stay there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, You're hosting Colorado next week. You're at San Diego after that. You're at Saskatchewan after that.
Colorado 2 weeks ago, I would have been more concerned. Colorado that I've seen in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Ottawa
To me, that makes Colorado more dangerous because they need to turn
Well, that's the one game we haven't talked about yet. And Mike, talk to me. Who's the best team in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, that was mine, but I was about to ask Mike the same thing. Who's the best team in the fourth quarter, right?
That would be the Ottawa Black Bears.
Gee, did we get any more proof of this?
Did my teeth shine? Did you get the little sparkle there?
Yeah,
Come through?
I heard it.
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
I want to know, and I'm sorry Pat's not here still. I mentioned it this morning also, is, Higgins gives up 1 goal in the second half.
Yeah.
Well, only gave up 4 goals in the first half. 1 goal in the second half. Shuts down Colorado altogether, who, by the way, didn't have all that many shots either. He only made 33 saves. So I'm wondering, this Colorado lineup, how do they only get 38 shots in a game?
And you have 5 goals, and 4 of them were for Andrew Q.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a frustrating night for Jack Hanna.
Yeah.
Hell, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, that would have been, 1 goal in, because Q wouldn't have been in the lineup, and then what? Interesting. But what went so wrong in the last couple of weeks with Colorado? Since they thumped Toronto in Colorado and Tim Edwards got thumped, they haven't been the same. Coincidence? Maybe. But they looked terrible in Toronto, and they haven't looked much better since.
And could it be that they have some guys maybe trying to tough out injuries? It seems like the last few weeks, their medical list has grown. Not to the extent of Phillies, but
right. It's a definite possibility.
Yeah.
But wow, just everybody stopped at the same time.
In this game, he was out. So
coach's nightmare. Everybody stops at the same time. It's okay if Q doesn't score, but Hannah does. It's okay if Sarah scores and Q doesn't score. But when everybody stops at the same time, that's a nightmare.
It's a recipe for disaster, yeah. And actually,
you have round 1 and this happens, you are now talking about the season it could have been.
And I'm just looking through the score sheet again. 3 of those 5 goals were on the power play. So they weren't even strength goals. That's even more concerning in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just curious if anybody has any idea what went so very wrong the last few weeks.
Yeah, I wish I had an answer. I really do.
I mean, it doesn't seem to be
the talent's there.
Well, I also start questioning the defense when you know that Jeff Teat's going to kill you if you let him, and you let him go in the fourth, and he gets a natural hat trick in the span of 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And Jeff Teat was pretty succinct in his interview after the game, and that was, they're a great team, but it took us that long to figure them out. And once we did, because it wasn't a 5-goal run, man, it was a 7-goal run, dating midway through the third, in which Teat had 4 of those 7. Obviously, there was a tell somewhere, and they exploited it. Now, if they see it, every other team sees it too. Does Colorado have something to concern themselves with? And if so, do they have something they need to start fishing for by tomorrow?
Like I said, I don't know, because I think the talent is there. It just needs to be put all together at once.
It also puts it in this way. I don't think
and
Ottawa moves. I think Ottawa stays back.
And you might have someone naturally coming back. When's Eli McLaughlin's probationary year up?
I don't think this year.
Return.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be this year.
No.
Well, it was probably around this time last year that he stepped away from the team. So
yeah, but I have a feeling by the time it's all said and done, So let me get himself back in. I don't think it's going to be the answer, if it is even. But he'll look great in the summer. But
For Six Nations.
amongst the others, yes. If he can get it shipped in with the other 37 guys that are there. But we'll see. We'll see. But this now puts an interesting thing is that I thought that Ottawa might do some moving. I don't think Ottawa does any moving now. Even though I don't think that they're any better off than they were last year, where everything runs through Teat. Hillier has been a big help, but still Teat.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's anything I would add to that is, I don't know if they're necessarily holding their own at the face-off dot, but they've had a number of games without the services of Jay Thornbert right now, and
well,
they seem to be getting away, using Reed Kurtz in his place.
Well, they won 4 of 19.
19, yeah.
But when you have a plan to, cause turnovers, and that's what Toronto did for years before they got TD Erlin. They never had a face-off guy. They had guys who wouldn't even go down for the face-offs. They just waited till you pick it up and check you. So it's about planning and what you're going to do with it. But also one to think about is Brady Kiernan, Connor's brother. He's out with a knee injury from the summer, ACL, MCL, and he'll be back in time for next year. That adds more depth and a hell of a shot. So they're not without options, just not at the moment. And if that's coming and that kind of skill, there's no reason that you need to trade for that when it's only going to be a renta thing. And if you're not in the hunt, why would you be even going down that road?
Yeah, and let's not forget, they don't own their own first-round pick, but they own Oshawa's. So that's potentially the number one pick.
Right
now.
Yep.
I mean, it isn't at the moment, but if Philly gets some revenge next weekend, it will be. Again.
Right. Because I kind of like this Ottawa lineup.
Yeah.
When they're all working together, it's a pretty strong lineup. Do I think they can win? Not really, no. But I think they're a very competitive lineup. But I don't think one or two pieces are going to be the thing that puts them over, and all of a sudden now they're up with Saskatchewan. But again, as long as you can get into the playoffs.
Wait a minute. Who was Saskatchewan's first loss against this season?
Ottawa. And it was a fourth quarter collapse.
That's back when Saskatchewan couldn't play 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Now they play 65 minutes. Most games.
Most games, yeah.
And they're just trying to make sure that you can see that they can play 60. So they go extra. Just for you, Mike.
I just wanted to poke the bear with that one.
Yeah.
Poke the black bear. I like that. Yeah. You got Pat with his seal splash and Mike with the black bears. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Everybody's.
We're puntastic on this week.
Puntastic. You can't miss us. Anyways, this coming week we got a much busier week. We start Friday night with Toronto into Halifax. It's gonna be a big game, especially if there are moves where we get to see the new lineups. I don't think either of these teams do much, but anyways, Philadelphia and Oshawa, both of these teams might be busy. So for the other half of the home and home, if there was a little bit of bad blood at the end of this game, let's see if it spills on over into the next game over in Oshawa. I will be here at that game, so I'll say hi to them for you. Colorado Buffalo. This is going to be an interesting one, especially the way both teams have been playing, because 3 weeks ago I would have thought the other way around. Now I give the advantage to Buffalo. I might have been the kiss of death to the Bandits. if I'm going for the Bandits, that could be their Vancouver and Georgia. Again, 2 weeks ago, I would have put this as that's a circle on the calendar. The Vancouver team that I watched this weekend, I'm hoping that's a one-off because otherwise they're going to get killed. But it could be a 2-1 game between Dobson and Del Bianco.
You want to trade recaps with me on that one?
Could be a short one, yeah.
Well, if I do that one, I might be able to take another one then. There was a goal in the first. That's it, guys. Thank you very much. It was on a penalty shot. We have Ottawa into Calgary. Now, again, I would normally say that, Ottawa, I just the way they're playing lately. But the Calgary team that played today is intriguing. And they look like they're finally starting to gel, which makes life even more interesting. The interesting one here is San Diego into Saskatchewan, because for some reason, they both give each other problems. And it doesn't matter who's ahead of who in the standings. They both give each other problems. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. But that's going to be an interesting one. And Shawn, of course, will be front and center there.
Yep.
He'll probably be opening the gate just in case. We have Rochester and Vegas. This one is the Sunday afternoon game, evening game for us. And my question to you, Mike, is this where Rochester writes it, or is this where Vegas sails it? We have both teams that can be great and both teams that really underperformed. Who finds the surface of the water first?
Yeah, I'm tempted to say Vegas just because it's home for them.
It's a good question. It's a good point.
And they've actually performed pretty decently at home, despite I think they're 500 at home.
Embarrassment does wonders for a team, though. We've seen it a couple of times this year. Teams have been embarrassed, and they have come out with just hellfire and brimstone.
Yep.
And I think this was the closest to being embarrassed that Rochester could have been, getting doubled by Calgary 14-7 at home on a Sunday afternoon when your young fan base is there playing around in their Spider-Man uniforms.
Yep.
So I think Hazen, Dan Carey, all of them, for the ones who are still there, are going to be looking at them going at their, the mental part of the game. What do we have left? What can we move on this one to get back to where we were? Now, again, I don't think Rochester does much in this deadline, if anything at all. Because healthy, I think they have a damn good lineup, and we've seen them. I just, for the life of me, I don't know what is the mental block that things just aren't working the last 4 or 5 games. Can't be distractions. Vancouver's long. The series is long ago. All the suspensions have been served, and all the other things, and all the other nonsense are long gone. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, Gary. To Rochester's in their head where I don't know. I still feel like with Las Vegas, there's still some holes that need to be filled.
I agree, and that depends on tomorrow. And I think it's defensive, and I don't know who would have that for them available that would want to get rid of it to, gain whatever they can gain on them. Because there's a couple of teams that are looking for defensive solutions. But, we will find out by tomorrow afternoon, the 3:00 deadline. Something like that.
I believe so.
But we will have everything that moves and things that don't move up to date for you as it happens tomorrow. So stick with us. Remember, we are your Costco and Lacrosse. We are your one-stop shop. And we will as quickly as we can get it out there to you, we will have it. So stick with us. Remember, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Thread. You can find us on X. You can find us on YouTube, as well as at www.streampunkentertainment.com. Tomorrow, come check all day long with us, because as it happens, we will get it out. And by the afternoon, when everything gets finalized into the evening, we will have everything for you as well. As well as tomorrow, I continue my Barn series for Ontario Series Lacrosse. And I believe we're talking about Owen Sound tomorrow, if I have it right. So it'll be interesting. There's a lot of interesting things about the history of that arena as well. So you're going to want to read that, amongst other things. Anyways, that we're going to leave it there for this week. And believe me, we're going to get our sleep tonight, because it's going to be a busy day tomorrow for all of us involved. That brings us to final words. Shawn, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, just kind of exactly what you're saying there. I'm interested to see what happens at the deadline here. Honestly, historically, we haven't really seen much at a deadline, so it'll be interesting to see whether actually something happens or not. Especially with a few teams that are at that 9 and 10 loss situation now, where it's pretty given that they're not going to make the playoffs. Could make things interesting.
Absolutely. Mike, last words to you.
Yeah, I mean, after all said and done with the trade deadline, you're going to be looking at a slate of 7 games where every team's in action next weekend, and it's going to be interesting to see if changes were made to rosters, how those changes start to pan out. I know it's only 1 game, but for some teams it's 1 of 5 left, and for others it's 1 of 7. So.
Right. I'm really interested to see a couple of the teams that are on the cusp of doing something really, really great, if they are able to do something and what it is that they do. This is where you get to see the mentality of the GMs and how they wheel and deal with one another. This is how Keenan made his money for so many years, is being able to outfox teams out of their picks and out of their stars. And he'll fleece you and you'll feel great about it. Eddie Como did the same thing with John Arlotta for years. The Rock did it last year with the rent-a-player idea and getting who they wanted back and not getting who they didn't need back for a couple of first-round picks to change the whole dynamic of their team. And still changing, because they still have Ty English coming next year. They still have a first-round pick that could be rather high, depending on what Calgary does as well. So we'll see. So this is my favorite time of seeing the chess and all the moves that make it worthwhile for the last run towards the most exciting part, of course, which is playoffs, and see when everything is on the line. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for being with us every week, as they always are. And I want to thank my guys, as always, for being right on the point and getting everything done so fast and so efficiently. It is a pleasure to work with such a great team. Until next week, remember all, keep your sticks high, keep your spirits higher. And until we meet again next week, have a great week. And it's going to be an interesting week to get there. Take care, everybody.